And I love that 3, 2, 1 countdown. Welcome, folks, again back to another episode of Plan a Conversation. Look, it's been a minute. It has been a minute. As you know, I'm very consistent in kicking out different podcast episodes, but it's been a really great time to dig deep, to have a lot of conversations with other podcasters, a lot of industry folks, and to really get much more clear and crystallize the vision I have, not only for this podcast, but for the work that it is that I do and the way I engage community, and also a level of stillness. I'm going to get into some of the details of conversations I've been having later on in the show. But first, I just really wanted to say thank you for waiting for me and for listening to this podcast. Hey, like I say before, if it's 15,000, 15 million, or 15 people that are listening, I offer the exact same energy that I would if this was, a international acclaimed podcast, a syndicated show. I mean, it will be at some point, but I always show up 100% as my best. And so, listen, over these last 4.5 weeks, 5 months since the Mickey Bay episode, it's been a really great time to just sit back and to kind of reassess where I want this year to go. But it's also been a quiet time period. So, full transparency, I've been really trying to figure out where I'm going to place this podcast, how to get much more of an audience, engagement, and where the show is actually going to go. And I recently had a conversation with an industry expert, someone who I definitely respect, who has been in the entertainment podcasting space. And we'll just say the multimedia space, as podcasting is still relatively new, for quite some time. And it was a loving conversation that I had with this woman. And she told me that she felt I need to end the podcast because I don't have the numbers to substantiate to any larger platforms that I can actually carry, a larger show, that I could actually carry a TV show or an opportunity because of this one thing that I keep coming up against in every conversation I'm having. And we're going to talk about that today. Social media followers. And what I find very interesting about these conversations that I'm having is it's not about your education. It's not about your expertise, your level or years of committing to a craft. It's not about any of your professional, backgrounds. The number one thing that people want to hear in the publishing industry, in the entertainment industry, agents and radio, podcasting, tech. How many social media followers do you have? That's the first question that comes out the gate. And I always find this to be just a very fascinating, time and place from where we were versus to where we are right now. And as I said, industry insider shared with me that she felt I really need to end this podcast because I can't carry, I haven't been able to carry a substantial number for this show to go viral and those things like that. And here's what I say to that. And I'm also framing this kind of conversation to support anybody else who have the talent, you have the expertise, you've been grinding in the field for a long period of time, and other people may not have recognized yet the vision that you have for yourself. And so I took the information in. I took a couple of weeks off, as I was going to do anyway, to kind of see where I wanted this podcast to go and how I wanted to utilize this platform for not only my business development endeavors, but also for where I see us going, as a community in general. And a conversation, as I was hearing it audibly in my sleep one night, it was appointed versus anointed. Appointed versus anointed. And for a lot of my listeners who have much more of a secular understanding or departure into this conversation, What that then means is appointed are people who are placed in a scenario, they're placed in a position by someone else who recognizes their gifts or their talent. Someone who may be anointed, if you will, they're not necessarily placed by a person, a place, or a thing. They have with them a level of, how can I say this? A level of a higher power that has gifted them with an expression, with an experience, the co creator, universe, God, I say Jesus Christ, who has given them a natural talent and ability to be in a state, a purposeful state, a purposeful space that no one outside of them could offer them to do, to be, to have this level of influence, to have this level of power. And it's not an external power, again, that other people offer. It's not a fan base. It's not someone in a higher position saying, you are awesome, it's great. It's an internal power that is purposeful, that you are anointed to fulfill. And when it's an anointed time, when there is an anointed experience and you have an anointment on your life for certain things, no one place or person thing gave that to you. And because no earthly thing gave that to you, no earthly thing can take that away from you. And so, as I've been reflecting on just a different podcasts in general, again, as I said, that anointed versus appointed came up into my psyche one night. And so, all my folks, I want you to really think about this. You may be an educator. You may be somebody who is a director. You may be somebody who is a filmmaker. You may be somebody who is a entertainment enthusiast. You may be somebody who is a finance expert, right? You've been anointed to that space, but people who are outside of you think that they've appointed you to that space and they hold the power for where it is that you want to go. The first part that I want to talk about to make sure we even the playing field is, again, going back to that word of purpose. Purpose is not something that other people point to you. It is something that you are. It's a part of you. It's something that you live, you breathe. You receive this from your co-creator. You were designed to do this thing, designed to be this person, designed to be in all the spaces that you are in, to live out something that is higher than yourself, but is connected to who you are at your core, right? And so when you have that purpose in mind, you have a vision for yourself. And when you have that vision for where you want to go, who you want to engage, the world you see for yourself, the things you want to manifest, the things you want to actualize, you set off on a journey, when we'll say plan A, to accomplish whatever that journey is. Here's where a lot of people get stuck, and a lot of people allow, again, external things and spaces to determine where it is they go. This is a prime example of when this individual shared with me in a loving way. No shade or no heat or judgment to that person at all. No level of anger. It was a real conversation of, this is something I really think you really need to consider, because this is a time and space that we're living in. Appointed people appointed people who are in your life, who are in a space, they're only able to see what they can see in a particular space and time. They're only able to see, and they're only able to share with you what they can see from an external point of view. You can tell somebody all day, hey, I'm going to be, the next, I'm just making this up, Stephen Colbert. I'm going to be a nighttime television show host. And that's something I really want for myself. I'm going to be, the next Aaron Jackson speed skater. I'm going to go to the Olympics and get a gold medal because I feel purpose to be in that space all day. And somebody who is appointed to you in your life, who is not necessarily a friend, or if they even are a friend, that sounds great for you, but there's so much stuff that you actually have to do. And because this is the space that we're living in right now, if you don't have this, that, you can't accomplish that, right? Now, here is where the anointed person discards all that information and is able to keep their vision crystallized. And please hear me when I say this, because this is very, very, very important. There become a time and space happens where our plan A journey is going to separate those who feel that they are reliant on external appointed things to determine their anointing, to determine their purpose in life. And those people will fail time over and time again. The thing about having a vision, the thing about plan A, this whole thing, 9 times out of 10, what it is that you see for yourself, a lot of people are not going to see for you because they can't see it. It was never their vision to see it, it was your vision to see it. And when you are in this space, you have to dig deep and ask yourself, well, wait a minute. Did God give me an appointed vision? Or did God give me an anointed vision? Because the anointed vision that God gave to me, the universe gave to me, the co creator gave to me, I, in essence, gave to myself. And because we are working in tandem, there is no one thing, person, place, or experience that can take away what it is that you've been called to do. But many of us, we sell ourselves out to all these external things. And so I took that piece of information in and I said, thank you so much for sharing it with me. But I'm not appointed to this space. I'm anointed to this space. And do you think for 1 second, Klay, listener, anybody who's watching on our YouTube channel, do you think for 1 second that God would anoint you to a space and something as basic and silly as a social media number would keep you away from your destiny? Something as basic and simple as a venture capitalist will keep you away from your journey? Something as basic and simple as a boss, as a supervisor, could keep you away from your anointed journey. And that is where we get the game just effed up. There becomes a point there in time in our journey, and trust me when I say this, and some of you right now who are listening, and you are in it right now, where it looks like there are so many external things are stacked up against your plan A. They're stacked up against where you feel that you want to go in life and where you've been called to go in life. When you have anointing on your life, you cannot be touched. Nobody can deter you from where you are supposed to go except you. Except you. This becomes a point where not a stat, a data point, a spouse, a mentor, a sponsor can give to you what you have to give to yourself at this critical point in your juncture in your journey. This is that particular intersection where you are standing on the cliff by yourself. You, in essence, to other people, you don't have wings on your back. You can't fly. But the way that you envision it, you can jump and you can fly. You know that to be true. This is where the faith has to kick in. And this is that time where you will be standing by yourself. It is not to negate the support that you've received thus far, but the step that you have to take is a step that only you can do for yourself, by yourself, with an emboldened and empowered understanding that there is a co-creator that is with you, that is inspiring and co-spiring, with you to move to the next juncture of your life, right? And so when you're looking and you're wondering why you didn't get that promotion, and then you're going back and saying it's because of this person, this place. No, no. You are anointed to that space. You are anointed to that space. Here's a really good story to help you understand what I'm saying about this. Some years ago, oh my gosh, well over a decade now, I was just ending my time working at a mission-based agency. And we had like this very lax this lax policy around using equipment in the communication space. It was an old studio that had not been used for a long period of time, and various video equipment and things like that. And I had an idea. This is when the Oprah Winfrey Network was just about to start. It's a really good story. And I had an idea of, hey, I want to submit for my own show. Why not? I want to take a chance. And so, me and a good friend of mine, we took time during our lunch period to work on this project. And the project was, of course, out of the scope of my daily duties. Get that, got that. But everyone in the communications department would utilize all this equipment at various points in time. There was no, again, policy for that, right? And we enlisted another videographer who was at the company as well. And so again, during our lunch period, we would film, different things for me, and we put it together. And so we edited down the video and we got it where we really wanted to go, and we're really excited about it. And so I submitted this to the Oprah Winfrey Network, and it was really good. It was really, 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 really good. So much so, get this, when you are, again, in an anointed space and somebody who's appointed feel that they have control over your destiny. I had been bumping heads with a supervisor who literally had a sense of jealousy around my gifts, my talents, the way I was able to command a space, my leadership style. And he had already resigned. He said he was going to leave the company, but he was definitely out to make sure that he made a point to figure out how he can get me somehow, right? How he can get me somehow. So he found this video and then took it to our HR department. Our HR department had a meeting with me. They said, "Oh, you can't use company, equipment for your own personal gain." I go, "Oh, well, we always did this. As a matter of fact, I recorded a speech that he knew about on this equipment all the time. This person, that person. I'm naming all these things because it was an open free reign on your lunch period and extra time that you can go and do these things, right?" And so the HR person said, "Hey, there's no clear policy. I completely get that. But you really should not have used it." And I said, "Okay, you know what? Fine. Where are we going to move from here?" And so they ended up suspending me and my other coworker for a week of time, right? And so I get back from that vacation, and it's supposed to be a unpaid week of suspension. Let's talk about, again, appointed versus anointed. Appointed versus anointed. So the HR person says to me, "You really have to remove that video from the Oprah Winfrey Network site. And I understand what you're saying. I understand the intent behind it, but you really have to remove it." I said, "Okay, I'll be back. Oprah and I will connect another point. I'll be back. It's okay." So we removed the video. And so at that particular point in time, it was only a day left for me to resubmit something else. There was no time for me to create what I had created before. And so that opportunity just, went, and it's not a problem. I knew that it would be revisited later on in life. Again, not holding on to any attachments. That's not what it is that we do. Got back from vacation, and the HR person who now is no longer alive, rest her soul, she had a conversation with me. Not only did I have a week suspension, it wasn't a week suspension, it was a week vacation. She did not take away any pay for us because she knew what was happening with the old supervisor who was out of the door. A couple of months later, I would leave him anyway, but she knew what was happening, right? As I'm going back into this meeting to rejoin, staff and team, it wasn't a disciplinary meeting at all. She said to me, head of HR, "Klay, listen, I could not stop thinking about that video. How do we tap into all of your explosive and creative expressions that we are not clearly using right now? You're talented. You're really good. And you have something here. Not only was I not this suspension on my record and those kind of things, pay was never ever docked. When it was time for me to leave the company a couple of months later, she said to me, "You have reached your pinnacle here. There's no position that I can create for you. There is no opportunity that you can create here. This is not the space for you. I want you to leave here and go and do what you have been called to do." Appointed versus anointed. Here it is. I stood in this space where someone was trying to clearly take away what he thought he could do to strip me of my talents, my gifts, and create a destruction in my professional and my. He couldn't do that. He didn't have that power. And here it is. Also, I left the company. I got a call a couple of weeks later by the same HR director to come back in and offer a series of workshops and professional development. She knew what was happening behind the scenes. She knew what was going to occur for me. And she then created further opportunity for me to hone my craft and to build out Plan A even more so. Appointed versus anointed. When you are in these spaces and people they think they have a leash on where you can go in life. And they will try. They would try to control, they would try to stop, they would try to create a halt. You have to step over that BS. You have to step over that stuff. There comes a point in time where you have to look at your purpose as an anointing, even more so, that only you can give to yourself. And that's where we are right now. Over the break, I have been watching GS, like Genius, Kanye West documentary that was just out there, and I think it's 3 episodes. You should guys take a really a great look at that, and how fanatical or whatever you think about Kanye, who he was there and who he is now. That's besides the point. He literally manifested what it is that he wanted to do because he believed in himself. So much so at the juncture of where his record deal, even after he signed, with Def Jam, where it looked like it wasn't going to happen after this car accident, he muscled, he grinded out, and he utilized his own external funds, producing for other folks so that his rap world could be created. And now this man is a billionaire, right? He knew that he had something very special. And he had to go to great lengths to prove that, not for himself, but to other people. But he had an anointing. He had a purposeful pursuit that he knew if he just kept going, his genius in creating rap lyrics would be realized. People had pigeonholed him into being just a producer. He said, "No, I am a rapper." And the rest is history. No matter how you feel about him, you cannot deny what he was able to create, especially with that college album, that first Dropout, I believe it's called Dropout College, or College Dropout. All of this to say, going back to my point here, take some time to get still and to be quiet with yourself. Map out a plan for where you feel that you are called to be and tap into that internal anointing. We're all going to experience it and face it, but the difference between those who actualize and manifest and hold on to what their dream is, to hold on to what that plan A is, they get beyond this level of external things. And for me, again, it's a social media thing, is what I'm hearing, right? It's a social media thing. For you, it could be children that people are telling. For you, it could be money. For you, it can be not meeting the right person. For you, it could be, oh, you have to have an agent. For you, it could be you have to have the right sponsor. None of that stuff matters at the grand scheme at the end of the day. Of course, you need to network and things like that, but no one or anything can keep you away from your destiny. A good friend of mine has actualized one of her plan A points. And she said to me some time ago, there is no one, or, there's not a conversation that happened where someone's, has said, what happens when you actually get what you have been working for? You spend so much time toiling in the field, so much time looking to receive your anointing, so much time to believing your anointing and not feeling you're appointed to anything, and working on that vision, that when it actually comes to pass, it actually happens. What do you do? What do you do? And here's what I say to that. You're already prepared. When our plan A's actualize and we get to a height of a dream, and of course we think about, we want to dream a little bit more and things like that, and all these different expressions are happening, new experiences, what's amplified is more of who you are at your core. It's not like you change as a person. Your exterior world may change. People may know your name, more. There may be a lot more money. There may be a lot more professional success. But what is really truly amplified is who you are internally. And so when a dream is actualized, you get to the space that you really wanted to be in, that you've been dreaming of. Go within. Ask yourself, who have you been working on the inside, doing that work to become? That person gets amplified. We look and we think it's more of an external things of being prepared for this conversation, for this award, this. No, it's none of that. Not really. Those things have their place, but who you are internally is amplified. Were you a giver before? Were you somebody who celebrated yourself before? Did you work on your worth and esteem before? Were you compassionate? Were you empathetic before? Were you loving? Were you kind? Were you a team player? Were you humorous? Did you get up when times weren't really going great for you? Those things are amplified even more so when you get your success. So what happens? The amplification of who you are internally becomes the guiding focal point for what the world ends up seeing behind closed doors and in front of the camera. The question is, who were you before that? Have you been doing your work? That would just be amplified even more so, because you know that no matter what happens, you can go internally for all the answers. And as these different things will come to you, you are protected. You will be fine because you have done things to set you up and to prepare you for the moment that is yet to come. And if you have not done that work, that is amplified even more so. And that becomes a conversation of, what do I need to strengthen internally within myself to rise to the occasion, to match the energy of what is being presented to me? That becomes the question then. But don't think that all these external things are coming, they're showing you something different other than really who you are. This is the part where you can control the conditions rather than having the conditions control you. And I know we living in time and space where we're not seeing a lot of that happen in the full spectrum of things, but a lot of what folks are experiencing right now, even in the world, is what's happening internally inside of themselves, and how they respond to it is the work that they have done or have not done. Either way, we are at a really great point where we can learn from what we need to learn from and respond in a way that is beneficial to us and our outcomes. This is where I am right now in 2022. This is the energy that I am bringing here. I look forward to exploring where this podcast is going to go. Where is the direction that this is going to take? As I said before, I'm anointed to this space. Next to Oprah, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this: there's no one who can command an interview and who's a master communicator and interviewer the way that I am next to her, and that's just the truth, because it's not just this academic, professional, this curious world, this hardworking thing of getting in front of the camera, working this, opportunity so that I can do more radio, television, and things like that. None of that matters. The work has its place. But the good thing about this is I have a love of curiosity that empowers me to be in the seat to ask the questions that I ask. And so many people I interview always say, well, wow, how do you come up with the questions that you come? Because I'm tapped into my anointing. That's how. It's nothing that I'm doing on my own. I am aligning myself with the co-creator who has given me this ability and this level of curiosity to be the person to ask the questions. Another of a friend of mine who was asking me to explain how I set up these podcasts. A secret that I have not really said publicly on this podcast: I don't prepare questions because I want to experience the same level of reaction as you do as the audience. So even when people come on the show, they don't come on here knowing what questions I'm going to ask. If their publicist or somebody that's their agent representing them may say, "Oh, can you give us a skeleton?" I give them a basic, kind of thing, but I don't ask those questions because you have to tap into the energy of the person. You have to tap into the energy of you, the guest. What is it that I think you all want to know? How can I feel my way into where all of you are all over the world? And when I say all over the world, it may not have been this huge 15 million population, but there are people all over the world who listen to this podcast. And that's true. How do I tap into your spirit to be able to get the guests to support them in sharing their story so that you can get what it is that you need to get out of this, and so that the person who I'm interviewing, so that they can express, download deep within themselves and release what it is that they need to also get out, so that everybody is being serviced and served in this experience. So, am I worried about social media numbers for the direction of where this podcast or any of my other media and tech ventures are going? Hell no, because I know I am the best at this. And it's an arena that no one can touch me in. Not because, again, I'm any more special than anybody else, but I'm anointed to be in this space. I'm anointed to be in this space. Find your own level of self confidence and self awareness for what you have been called to do. There's a various directions, there's a myriad of things that only you can do. It's not being braggadocious, and not being egocentric, it's not any of those things. It's being in alignment with the truth of who you are here, who God is here, and allowing that, reflecting that inwardly to allow it to go outwardly into the world. You are anointed for a time such as this. You are anointed for the time that you have been alive to be here. You end up falling into that appointed space when you allow other people's stories, boundary, and strict guidelines to tell you how and when you are supposed to go. There are no rules. There are no rules. Hop on this anointed bandwagon. It's the only way to live. And you will manifest and actualize everything inside of yourself. You can do a test and trial period of this to see what opens up and what happens for you when you are as bold. And my wish for humanity is that this awareness is something that is no longer deemed as being bold, as being courageous. It's just a way of life. If we all tapped into our anointing, because we all are, for the various things that we are supposed to do, if we all tapped into that, Everything that is a dis-ease, everything that is a negative influence would be wiped away. This idea of having heaven on earth would be actualized. And I stand by that. And it would be. This idea of being jealous and envious of what other people have, that crap would be just dissipated, thrown by the wayside. It would not happen at all. But a lot of us are walking around in this cowardice space, so afraid to allow our light to shine, being appointed people and allowing appointed people and experiences to control our destiny, rather being anointed and allowing it to just flow outwardly, to allow that sun and the sun to live in you. That's my challenge for 2022. Come out on the other side of this. Hear me. Come out on the other side of this in a pure stance of an anointed spirit. I love you, and I want the best for you. I want you to stand as tall and as proud as the loving universe has for you. It has for you. But there are steps that we have to take for ourselves, by ourselves, knowing that our hand in the hand of a co-creator God universe is nothing that we can do. Hey, we're back. So glad that you have stayed and you waited and you're listening. I don't take a listen for granted, and I look forward to our conversations, our interviews, and where this world is going to take me in 2022, where this world is going to take you. Continue to send me your DMs. Tell me what the heck is going on with you. Don't forget to download both of my books or buy them wherever you buy your books. There's Only Plan A Journey Towards Self-Discovery, Renewed Purpose, and 365 Plan A Nightly Meditations. We are just getting started. You think that we've accomplished something today? Nah, we are just getting started. You're listening to Plan A Conversation with Klay S. Willams. Again, I love you. I love you. I love you. You can follow me on all your favorite social media by the handle of @Plan A with Klay. That's @Plan A with Klay. Remember, folks, that Klay is with a K. Thanks for listening. I look forward to seeing you in our very next episode of Plan A Conversations. Let's get it, folks. Peace.